But let me begin by picking up on one theme that David talked about, and that is the need to manage large flows of energy in order to avoid the dangers that come with fragility. This is the element of the Earth system that is the most vulnerable and produces fragility. We have the impression viscerally that the sky is a vast and limitless expanse. But as this picture from space shows, the atmosphere, when seen edge on, is a very thin layer around the Earth. And we are now putting into that thin layer of atmosphere 110 million tons of global warming pollution, principally CO2, every 24 hours. And it comes from this civilization that has sprung up, fueled 85% by fossil fuels. Burning fossil fuels is not the only cause. Don't worry about covering all of these topics, but I want to set the context with a reference to the fact that agriculture matters a lot. Forests matter a lot. The possibility that the melting of the permafrost that's beginning to release large flows of methane could increase, that could be a tipping point. But the principal source of the problem is, and this recalls one of the images that David showed, the burning of fossil fuels, which has put enormous amounts of global warming pollution into the atmosphere. And as the CO2 levels increase, temperature increases. The outgoing infrared radiation is trapped over a 2,000-year period here. The cumulative amount of man-made global warming pollution now in the atmosphere traps as much extra heat energy every day as would be released by 400,000 Hiroshima-class atomic weapons going off every day. It's a big planet, but that's a lot of energy, especially when you multiply it by 400,000 every single day. So this is the only complicated slide I'm going to show, so permit me to spend just a moment explaining it. This shows average temperatures on the Earth, and a team of scientists led by Jim Hansen studied temperatures all over the Earth for the last 65 years. The white are normal temperatures, defined as what they were in the 30-year period from 1951 to 1980. The blue are cooler than average temperatures. The red are warmer than average. So in the 1980s, the entire pattern shifted to the right. We see the emergence in the lower right of extremely hot days. In the 1990s, the extremely hot days grew. The warmer than normal days come to dominate. And in the last decade, the extremely hot days have become more numerous than cooler than average days. In fact, they are now 100 times more common than they were just a few decades ago. And they're driving extreme weather events. They're increasing temperatures all over the Earth. Last year was the 38th year in a row that was warmer than the 20th century. Last month was the 358th month in a row that was above the 20th century average. This past decade has been by far the hottest decade ever measured with instruments. The 14 of the 15 hottest years ever measured have been in the first 14 years of this century. And as 3 separate scientific teams just announced last week, the hottest year of all ever measured was last year.